Welcome back to TCM and our final night in June exploring the films of George Roy Hill. I'm Alicia Malone, and thanks again to George Roy Hill's son, John Hill, for co-hosting the first movie of each night. And while preparing for these evenings, I had the chance to watch a few films by this director that I hadn't seen before, including our next movie. And actually, this is also a movie that has never aired on TCM. From 1972, it's Slaughterhouse-Five. I've read the original novel by Kurt Vonnegut, and if you are familiar with that book, you know how challenging it must have been to adapt it for the big screen. The story blends sci-fi and war, following Billy Pilgrim, played by Michael Sachs, a World War II veteran who shifts back and forth in time. We see some of his experiences as a prisoner of war in Dresden, then his humdrum life as an optometrist and family man after the war, and later his future, where he has been abducted by aliens, kept on a planet, and observed by them. Vonnegut's novel was adapted for the screen by Stephen Geller, and Vonnegut himself was impressed by the adaptation and George Roy Hill's direction. As always, Hill trusted his instincts, casting the unknown actor Michael Sachs in the lead role for his feature film debut. Sachs later appeared in the Sugarland Express, Steven Spielberg's theatrical debut, and John Hill told me that his father had been asked to be the executive producer of the Sugarland Express, but he had to step down to make The Sting, and he always suspected that the job offer came through Michael Sachs. And this was the first time George Roy Hill worked with editor Dee Dee Allen. At that point, she hadn't yet edited Dog Day Afternoon, Serpico, or The Breakfast Club, but she had made her mark on The Hustler and Bonnie and Clyde, and she had the steady hand needed to guide this film through all of its time jumps. Let's watch from 1972. Here is the TCM premiere of Slaughterhouse-Five. Slaughterhouse-Five isn't one of George Roy Hill's most well-known films, but it did screen at the Cannes Film Festival, where it competed for the top prize, the Palme d'Or, and received a jury prize for director George Roy Hill. The film struggled to find a mainstream audience, but continued to earn awards, including a Hugo Award and the first ever Saturn Award for Best Science Fiction Film. Michael Sachs, who played Billy in his first ever feature film, was also nominated for a Golden Globe for Most Promising Newcomer. George Roy Hill was always deeply involved in the music scores for his films, often selecting unexpected composers for them, such as Burt Bacharach for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. For Slaughterhouse-Five, Hill chose Canadian pianist Glenn Gould, who was known for his unconventional interpretations of classical music, especially the works of Bach, a personal favourite of George Roy Hill. Stay watching TCM as we continue our exploration of the latter half of George Roy Hill's career. Up next is a sweet tale of young romance starring Laurence Olivier and a 13-year-old Diane Lane. Back soon.
Next on TCM, A Little Romance, then The Little Drummer Girl, and later, My Favorite Spy, Secret Agent Before Beauty on TCM tonight.